Hi everyone, today I want to tackle the multiple buttons discussion and what I think about combo gameplay in PoE2. So, multiple buttons or two button gameplay is kind of the black sheep of PoE1. Even prior to PoE2 being released or even revealed, before we even knew PoE2 would be a thing, there have people there have been people straight up refusing or disregarding any build that uses more than two buttons to clear. They run away from combo gameplay like it's the plague. Now, this is because of a few reasons, not all, but a lot of which boil down to just NPC behavior, to be honest. People speak before thinking, people overreact and over exaggerate things. They think they want something or they think they know something without ever looking deeper into the situation and coming to a reasonable and logical conclusion. When presented with a good two button build, you'll find that a lot of people that say they dislike two button builds or think they dislike two button builds or are scared by them because they've heard it from their favorite content creator that two button builds must be really dog shit. A lot of these people don't really care it takes two buttons to do your thing as long as the end result is rewarding. I think a good example of this is ED Contagion. Although it's been like half a decade since ED Contagion has been considered good in PoE1. When it was last really good, I believe was Legion League. Did anyone complain that it took two buttons to play? Well, no, because it just melted entire screens of monsters. It was rewarding. It's not necessarily about the amount of buttons a build requires to play, it's about the feel of it and the reward for pressing multiple buttons. Anyway, fast forward to a bit before PoE2, PoE2's release, and a lot of people were freaking out. Almost every interview had questions about game pacing, slower gameplay, and combo gameplay. The players raised concerns about multiple buttons not because they actually care about the amount itself, but they just didn't want the game to feel clunky, which at the time and to some degree even to this day it looked clunky, and it was. Just about every pre-release showcase was riddled with comments of, "Oh, this is too slow," or "This looks like dog shit," "Vision gameplay," "Ruthless gameplay." And again, to be honest, it did look that way. It did look too slow. Players just didn't want to feel like they're forced to do clunky things. And the first thing they latched on was the devs' somewhat obsession at the time, perceived obsession with multiple buttons. What I think GGG wants to achieve with their combat is presenting you with different enough situations in order to make you switch your gameplay up. I don't think GGG looks at PoE1 combat and counts VMS as a button, or Sigil of Power, Curses, Arcanist Brand, all those skills, auxiliary skills. I don't think they count them as actual buttons. They don't want you to be pressing those. They want you to have five different actual skills, damaging skills, that are each strong or weak in different situations, and they want you to use them accordingly based on what is on your screen. And I don't believe they want you to use five button combos on every white pack either. A good example of this is Huntress in Act 1. I'm sometimes sparing and disengaging. I'm using multiple skills in different scenarios. I'm throwing explosive spears. I'm doing spear throws. I'm doing melee attacks from time to time. I'm doing the whirling assault from time to time. And it works. I'm getting rewarded for it. Act 1 Huntress is probably it's probably the best ARPG combat experience I've had. It all matters and it all comes together. This type of combat, what I can assume is their vision, is a good idea on paper. It's akin to an action roguelike combat system, and those are some of the best games on the planet. It's engaging, it looks cool, it feels good, and there's a lot of skill expression in it. The only problem is it just does not fit into an ARPG. It doesn't fit into the endgame goals of ARPG players. And doing it for, 24 hours, 2 days, however much people play their character for at a time, is just cumbersome. And this is a big problem. You see that the feedback you'll hear from a large part of the community is we just need more speed. And while in some cases this is true, like warrior builds, for example, most of them, in other cases, speed will not fix the issue. It just will not. In PoE1, most of the time, you just get more speed to make something feel good. But in PoE2, a lot of skills and combos feel bad for reasons unrelated to speed. Combos have to reload and switch ammo. Any ammo combo on crossbows takes twice the amount of buttons compared to other archetypes. And even if ammo switch speed was instant, it would still be clunky because you have to press 4 different buttons. Why would you use Wave of Frost, for example, and then Glacial Cascade to kill monsters? It has low coverage, it's low AoE, it's just slow. Why would you do that when you can just use Shattering Palm and kill the monsters instantly? Some payoff skills again are the same. I'm gonna give the example of Glacial Cascade again. Why would you waste time freezing the boss? Or maybe not waste time freezing the boss, but why would you freeze the boss and then consume the freeze to do mediocre damage with Glacial Cascade when you can just whack at it with Frost Strike, do good damage, and then keep it frozen to do even more damage safely? It just does not make sense. What I'm going to, what am I gonna do with Ice Shards? Or Escape Shot, Fangs of Frost, Primal Strikes, Rapid Assault, Resonating Shield? There's more. Like, why are these skills in the game? You're supposed to use these skills, but they feel like roleplay skills more than anything. And most of the killing skills also feel bad. Why would you sit there and killing palm each monster one by one when you can generate charges passively through other means without just doing this clunky ass single target skill? It makes no sense. I don't see a world where the best charge generation is killing palm and the player base is happy with the state of the game. Why would you sit there and parry every pack in endgame like a dumbass, or some packs, and then disengage and then kill the pack with another skill when you can just kill the monsters instantly with lightning spear? It makes no sense. Same deal with shield bash, low AoE, low damage. Sure, it stuns, but do you know what other things stun? Pretty much any skills on warrior stun while actually doing damage and killing the monster, and they don't put you in danger most of the time. I don't play casters or minions, but I'm sure they have their fair share of shit that doesn't work. As long as killing the monster instantly is choice, is an option, rather, people will always pick that option because it's just simply always the best one. But like, what's the alternative? Not being able to kill monsters without doing some wacky shit first? That doesn't sound very good either. A lot of the aforementioned interactions or skills would be better with a bit more speed, sure, but that wouldn't fix their core issues. These skills need a reason to be pressed. They need real reasons to be used. At some point in the development, these skills were designed. I don't know when that was, And I don't know if the game was different back then. I mean, surely it was different. I don't know, like, surely the pacing was slower, but a lot of these skills simply have no place in the game the way that they are, regardless of speed, within reason, obviously. We need changes to how a lot of these skills function on a base level. Again, speed will not fix them. And we also, I feel like, need changes to some of the core systems and some of the gameplay if we're ever gonna want to see that vision gameplay, or GGG wants to have that vision gameplay. Um, you can't you can't have any part of a combo feel bad, because then the combo itself will not feel good, especially with a player base mostly composed of PoE1 players and vets. It's even more important to make combos work flawlessly and have little friction or clunk. If the build up to the combo is too long, it's too clunky, or it just doesn't have enough coverage, then it's just better to do something else in the meantime. And if the payoff to the combo isn't worth, like Glacial Cascade for example, then obviously it's just not worth doing the combo. I do feel like the game, among other things, does fail to present you with different enough situations to warrant what GGG wants to accomplish with the combat. GGG has stated multiple times throughout podcasts that monster health between multiple kinds of monsters is like different. It's vastly different. There's there's big differences between the types of monsters, and I think this was to emphasize that they want to achieve just that, what they want to achieve, right? Like with the combat system, presenting you with different situations and having you use different types of skills. But it just in practice in the game right now, it just never ends up making a difference. You always one shot white mobs, no matter what. Whether it's the tankiest one or the least tanky one, you always one shot them. And even when you don't one shot them, you don't ever think about, oh yeah, this particular pack I'm gonna parry, disengage, and then use the skill. You never do that. You just throw another lightning spear. Are the players wrong for doing that? Or wanting to do that? I don't believe they are. So how do you fix the issue? And sure, there are some combos that work. Leap Slam Bone Shatter, movement into clear, ED Contagion, good coverage, right? Shield Wall Warcry, Permafrost Fragmentation, CC into clear. There's stuff that works. But that feeling of, oh, I better use parry disengage this particular pack again, is never there in the current state of the game. That feeling of mixing up your gameplay is never there in the current game. And should it even be there? Can they make it so I ever want to do that as a player and it's the right choice? And again, people are on board with it. I don't see them getting the balance right. I just don't. PoE2, with all of its honestly complicated skills, a lot of these skills have a lot of tags, a lot of moving parts, and all of PoE2 systems, it looks to be a few times harder to balance than PoE1. And I mean, it's not like they got balancing down right in PoE1 either. Again, remember from earlier, half a decade since ED Contagion has been good. Like, the balance in PoE and PoE1 is a shit show, and has always been the case pretty much for the 10 years that I've been playing. I feel like their vision is this action roguelike type combat in a genre that doesn't necessarily allow for that. With a state of the game that doesn't allow for that, and with a player base that may not want that. And I do believe an ARPG with an action roguelike combat can work. I believe if there's ever another actually big game in a genre that stands a chance, like if there's ever a game that makes a breakthrough in the genre, that will be the game to do it. But I genuinely don't believe GGG will be the one to bring something like that to the genre. A game like that requires massive shifts to core systems And again, I don't see GGG accomplishing that. Not only are they not very good at balance historically, I wouldn't say they're incompetent, but just even the fact that they will be bullied out of that by the player base before they can achieve that. They will be bullied by the player base from their vision before they can actually achieve it. And that is kind of sad because that is why they started making PoE2, to make the game they want to make the game they can't make out of PoE1 because the players simply won't let them. I do believe what I do believe is going to happen again with PoE2, just like it did with PoE1, is they will never get the game to a spot where their vision is accomplished, and again, the players are happy as well with the game. I feel like PoE2 will either be the game that devs want it to be with not a big player base, or will just be a game with a massive player base and one that devs are not truly happy with. I could go on for longer, but I yapped too much. I'll be talking about skill balance next, since I started that subject at the end. So yeah, next video about skill balance. Bye bye.